Hello, everybody. My name is Kevin Nurses. It's great to be here. I am the founder of Caldarium, and I'm excited to tell you more about it. Next slide, please. So Caldarium is a managed service provider that transforms underutilized hospital spaces into energy-efficient data centers. We help hospitals integrate AI and automation to enhance patient care, reduce costs, and drive sustainable operations. You might be asking, what are managed services? Managed services involve outsourcing IT management to an external company, allowing businesses to focus on their core operations without handling the IT themselves. This includes maintaining computers and networks, securing data from cyber threats, managing cloud services, and providing ongoing technical support. Now, before I dive into the solution, I want to talk a little bit more about the industry backdrop. So the healthcare industry has been facing growing margin pressures driven by lower payer reimbursements, workforce shortages, and escalating supply chain costs. As value-based care models gain momentum and payer systems transform, hospitals will need to adapt in order to identify and capitalize on emerging revenue opportunities while enhancing patient care delivery. Innovative care delivery methods such as AI require substantial investments in both costly and complex infrastructure, placing further pressure on IT budgets. Caldarium, our solution is this. We repurpose underutilized hospital spaces into energy-efficient data centers, cutting costs with waste heat recovery and AI automation. We help hospitals reduce expenses, monetize surplus data center capacity, and integrate AI securely with an on-premise cloud. Our solutions enhance operational efficiency, improve patient care with real-time analytics, and offer VR training for staff development. Now, we see a phased approach in the way that we're actually going to roll these services out. So in our first phase, we'd likely start with a pilot program where we would deploy a modularized data center with heat reuse, prioritizing non-mission critical workloads like medical research while providing rentable computing capacity to the community. As we gain more trust among hospitals and health systems, we want to eventually add additional data center modules to expand capacity and also start to introduce AI into various administrative processes. As we progress further, we'll begin to migrate critical workloads like medical imaging, real-time clinical monitoring, and genomic analysis to the data center, integrating AI for enhanced performance. And then in culmination, we want to expand simulation across various service lines while introducing VR to enhance training, diagnosis, and treatment. Now I want to narrow in a little bit more on one of our core value propositions, the data center. So the first benefit around the data center is data center monetization. We will lease out surplus data center space to local businesses that are seeking cloud or co-location services, all while keeping the hospital's network completely isolated and secure. The second is lower heating costs. Our heat recovery system will repurpose data center waste heat to provide heating for facilities and water, cutting costs, boosting energy efficiency, and supporting sustainability. And the last benefit, we call it a sustainability advantage. We will help hospitals to boost their LEED score. That is a green building certification system that can help you qualify for various incentives in New York State, increase your property value, and enhance your hospital's reputation as a sustainable operator. Now, with that on-premise data center, we want to introduce what's called a private cloud. And so a private cloud is a secure, dedicated computing environment that gives organizations full control over their data and AI. Data is a valuable asset, and hospitals can monetize it through drug development, predictive analytics, real-world evidence studies, and healthcare innovation. Leveraging LLMs for AI can reduce the data's unique value, and while public cloud storage poses risks as well as misaligned incentives. We want to offer an on-premise private cloud with strict data governance, ensuring your data security and control. We can help train open source AI models on-site, tailored to your data, while maintaining compliance and ownership. And now I want to talk a little bit more about what are some of the use cases around AI and the healthcare space. The first would be disease detection and diagnosis. So AI can analyze medical images to detect abnormalities early, improving survival rates and treatment outcomes. It can also assess patient data, medical history, and genetic factors to assist in diagnosis. It can also, using that data, we can then develop personalized treatment plans where AI moves beyond a one-size-fits-all approach, delivering precision medicine tailored to each patient's unique needs and risks. We also want to incorporate AI on the administrative side to automate tasks like medical billing, coding, and appointment scheduling, reducing workload and enhancing the patient experience. And then lastly, there's a lot of different applications in medical research where AI can rapidly analyze vast data sets from medical records and research papers, uncovering patterns that drive new discoveries and improve clinical trial efficiency. And now I want to spend a quick moment talking about a little bit about our competitive positioning. So primary competitors for us are managed services companies. These are firms like DXC Technology, Kyndryl, and Atos. They can manage an on-premise private cloud. They've been doing that for a while. However, a lot of these firms, they're not focused on sustainability. They can't build you an on-premise heat reuse system. They're not going to help you secure sustainability grants, nor are they going to help you offer your spare data center capacity to be rented out. Now, there are cloud service providers. These are companies like Amazon Web Services, Azure, Google Cloud. They can offer on-demand computing, storage, and networking, enabling business to scale without managing any physical infrastructure. They also provide some on-premise managed services offerings. However, these offerings do not extend beyond the computers and the servers that sit in your data center. So they're not going to manage your electrical. They're not going to manage your cooling, any heat reuse systems. They're also not going to help qualify you for any sustainability grants. Another viable option is co-location. So co-location providers are companies like Equinix, Digital Realty, and CoreSite. They'll allow you to rent space, power, cooling, and connectivity for companies to house their servers in a secure and low latency geographically near data center. They don't offer any heat reuse. They don't offer sustainability grants or any additional revenue opportunities. You miss out on all of that because you have no infrastructure on premise. IT consulting firms, Accenture, Deloitte, Capgemini, they advise the technology strategy, digital transformation, and IT infrastructure. Again, you're seeing the theme here. They don't develop heat reuse systems. They don't help you with secure sustainability grants, and they don't offer to rent out your data center capacity. There are value-added resellers, CDW, SHI International, and Inside Enterprises. They'll sell you the IT hardware and software with services like installation and support. Again, some on-premise data center design, no heat reuse systems, no sustainability grants, no revenue sharing opportunities. And then lastly, you have system integrators, SAIC, Worldwide Technology. They can implement IT solutions by integrating software, hardware, and networks. Again, the theme is the same here, no sustainability grants, no on-premise heat reuse, and no rentable data center capacity. And so that's all the information I have for you right now. I'd say I'm entering the customer discovery phase, and so if there's anybody in the crowd that knows anybody that works at a health system relatively high up in their IT infrastructure, we're looking to have some more conversations and just try to test a little bit of our assumptions that we have in the space and see if there's any interest and there's a big fit. We've already had some good conversations, but we're looking to lean more into that. So anyone in venture capital in the room too, we're eventually going to look to raise some pre-seed money later on in the year. And so if you want to connect with me now, feel free to add me on LinkedIn. My link is there below at the bottom of the slide, and we can stay in touch. And that's all that I have.
Could you talk about how on-site generation might play into your goals here?
Yeah, so I mean, power is one of the biggest questions about your data center. It's kind of like the bottom line cost, and so there's a couple ways that we were going to approach getting power to that data center. By going to hospitals, we actually think that we could probably skip the grid interconnect queue to some degree because hospitals are critical infrastructure. So if we can get the hospital to say to the grid operator, look, this is a part of our critical infrastructure now, we need this amount of power, that's one option. The second option is we are already in conversation with different companies that can do what are called a microgrid. And so we're exploring doing either a combination of, let's say, combined heat and power systems. That fits very well with already what we're doing is basically you're generating waste heat from you're generating heat when you generate that power. You can capture that, do the heat reuse. So that's another value add there. We're also looking at potentially a solar microgrid. All that we're exploring. And again, that's going to depend a little bit on how that then plays into the sustainability grants we could get. We'd like to do mostly solar, but we're going to have to look at the cost benefit to see.
Hey, great idea, great presentation. I was wondering if you could comment a little bit more about your competitive moat and how you're differentiated from other bigger players from taking advantage of this.
Right, so to start off with, I think the heat reuse system is a really disruptive idea. What I don't think companies understand is that the heat reuse system is seen as a really big sustainability play when it's actually also a cost play. It reduces the cost of our data center operation. We're going to get some degree of free cooling from implementing these systems. And so it's going to take a while for the industry to have this shift. a lot of guys that I've spoken to, I've kind of written heat reuse off, and they did the analysis 10 years ago. Racks are denser now than they used to be, and now we're introducing liquid cooling systems. So the viability of that heat is a lot more than it was. And so a lot of guys just said, oh, like, this is a European thing, this is a sustainability thing. You're gonna start to see, especially in the Northeast, like, these opportunities starting to appear. You're seeing it being done on the large scale, but right now, like in the managed services space, haven't heard anything about it. And I think they're gonna be a little bit caught off guard. As we get going, I think that people are going to start to understand what the value of heat reuse is. And so we're going to start thinking like 5 to 10 years down the line. That's what we really want to start leaning into automation. We want to have virtual reality training in our own software stacks. So that way, once more capitalized competitors might actually start to realize maybe we should be doing heat reuse in our data centers, we'll have an older section of our value prop, and we'll be hopefully entrenched at a certain vertical where, again, you know, we'll have some brand name. We'll be hopefully a leader in what we've done. And so that's how I'm already thinking a little bit ahead about that. But I think the heat reuse is going to get us pretty far to start off with, because I think people have a hard time wrapping their heads around. Like, I've gone to data center conferences that I pitched it, never thought of it before. They never heard of anything like it. So that's where we're at.
You know, in the space, it's kind of interesting. A lot of things went to cloud with EMRs and, you know, medical record systems going up. I'm just kind of curious if you've done a cost analysis of what those subscription fees might look like versus on-prem host.
So we haven't yet, but so one of the things that I know is that when you look at how on-premise is priced, it is less expensive than cloud. And so a lot of companies will go to cloud because they need some scalability around certain workloads. They also just didn't want to deal with any of their IT infrastructure, as well as certain applications that are running, especially in a hospital system, the EMR, EHR, really run best in a cloud environment. And so those were some of the things that were driving that movement. But when you look at, again, an on-premise is already less expensive, but when you start to add in the rest of these benefits, it just becomes a really big shift, the cost comparison. Yeah, I mean, it fundamentally, it should be a lot cheaper. We've kitted out these data centers, and so some of what's gonna affect that cost is gonna be the particular kit that we deploy and what the purpose is. So like a high performance computing data center versus a general purpose is gonna be a little bit different in terms of the cost, the cooling systems, the servers that you use. And so that all has an effect, but fundamentally introducing heat reuse systems, we're building infrastructure in a place where it already exists. We don't have to lay concrete. We don't have to run 50 miles of fiber optic cable to the middle of nowhere. We don't have to do these other things like that these larger data center companies are doing. It's just a much better way. And then we get to go to places on the electric grid where we can likely get power sooner than them, because they have to build a 50, 100, 200 megawatt data center in the middle of nowhere and get the power there. We can go, where is there already power on the grid? And we're going to go there, or we can go to a hospital and get that power sooner. So there's a lot of different advantages that get built into the way we're operating here. So